Listen, that sound, somewhere between a lawnmower and an old moped, is the sound of modern warfare. It is not a stealth bomber. It is not the roar of a fighter jet. It is a machine that costs less than a used car, and it is winning. On February 28, 2026, the United States and Israel launched coordinated strikes on Iran. Within hours, Tehran responded, not by striking Washington, not by achieving air superiority over Tel Aviv, by doing something far more calculated. It made the war everyone's problem. Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, countries that had not fired a single shot at Iran, woke up that morning to find themselves in the middle of a war they had not chosen. Not because they were enemies of Iran, but because America parks its military on their soil, and Iran knows every address. According to detailed accounts from Gulf Defense Ministries, on that first day alone, Iran fired an estimated 247 ballistic missiles and 230 drones at the UAE, Bahrain, and Qatar combined. Over the weeks that followed, what regional analysts described as an unprecedented drone and missile campaign engulfed every member of the Gulf Cooperation Council. For the first time in history, all 6 GCC states were struck by the same actor within the same conflict. But here is the number that matters most: $35,000. That is what it costs to build one Iranian Shahed drone. A single interceptor fired to destroy it costs $4 million. Some cost $12 million. In other words, for every $35,000 drone shot down, the West spends between 100 and 300 times more. For decades, Western military supremacy rested on a simple principle. Our weapons are better, more sophisticated, more precise, more lethal. That premise has not disappeared, but it has been quietly, methodically, and very cheaply complicated by a machine with a wooden propeller and a 2-stroke patrol engine. This film is about that exhaustion. It is about an arithmetic problem that no amount of military spending has yet solved. It is about a revolution in warfare that did not begin in a Pentagon lab, but in a garage. And it is about what happens when that revolution spreads to every nation, to every faction, and inevitably to every movement with a GPS signal and a grievance to settle. The question is not whether the world is ready. The question is, what do we do now that it clearly is not?
I watched a private first class confidently calling out an enemy missile trajectory to a room full of officers. Everyone focused. The room was locked in. 2 enemy missiles successfully shot down. I spoke to Air Force and Navy pilots on the flight line, who every day both deliver bombs deep into Iran, but also shoot down drones defending their base.
This is the Shahed 136. Shahed means vision in Farsi. 136 is the model number. And what it looks like, and this matters, is a large model aircraft, the kind an enthusiast might assemble over a weekend in their garage. Before we go further, independent investigations like this require time, sources, and persistence. If you value this kind of work, you can support future investigations by subscribing. That is not an accident. A few facts first. The Shahed is just over 10 feet long. It weighs about 440 pounds. It flies at roughly 150 miles per hour, slower than most light aircrafts. And it can reach targets up to 1,500 miles away. Its explosive warhead weighs around 110 pounds, and its manufacturing cost? $35,000. At the back of the drone, a 2-stroke patrol engine, loud, unsophisticated. It is thought to be a reverse-engineered copy of the German Limbach L550, an engine originally designed for large hobbyist model aircrafts. It runs on regular gasoline. That detail matters. Ballistic missiles run on rocket fuel, volatile, toxic, difficult to store, difficult to conceal. The Shahed can be kept anywhere, in an agricultural shed, in a shipping container, wherever you would normally park a motorcycle, which means it can be hidden anywhere too. The wings are delta-shaped, a large triangle. That is not arbitrary. Delta wings generate more lift at low airspeeds. They resist wind gusts, critical for a drone following a pre-programmed route with no pilot to correct its course. The wing surface is built from a honeycomb of hexagonal cells, light, and designed to scatter radar waves rather than reflect them. Inside the left wing, a satellite navigation receiver. Not GPS. That is an American system unavailable to Tehran. A functional equivalent. It tells the drone where it is, where it needs to go, and how to get there. Once programmed, the Shahed flies entirely on its own. No pilot watching, no remote control to jam. The drone makes no decisions. It simply follows its instructions until it reaches its destination. And then it dives. The warhead comes in two variants. First, high explosive fragmentation. On detonation, it throws incandescent metal shrapnel in all directions. Effective against light infrastructure, warehouses, radar installations. Second, a shaped charge. A focused jet of molten metal designed to cut through armor plating. It is not perfect. It was never designed to be. It was designed to be everywhere, and that is the Shahed's deepest strategic innovation. Not its engine, not its guidance, its geography of production. Components purchased freely on civilian markets. Assembly distributed. Launch sites mobile. A truck, a field, a coastline. There is no central factory to strike. No single arsenal to destroy. The weapon is the network. And that network is everywhere. Let us do the math.
We cannot afford to shoot down cheap drones with $2 million missiles.
A Shahed 136 costs around $35,000 to produce. A Patriot interceptor missile costs between $4 and $6 million. A THAAD interceptor costs $12 million. In 2025, the United States produced around 600 Patriot interceptors for the entire year. Target for 2027, 2,000 per year. Iran and Russia are reported to produce between 400 and 1,000 drones per day. Read those last two numbers again. 1,000 drones a day, 2,000 interceptors a year. This is not a gap. This is a collapse. But the math goes deeper than that because the problem is not just cost. It is the mismatch of tools. The Patriot missile system was not built for this. It was designed to intercept fast, high-altitude ballistic missiles screaming down from the edge of space. The Shahed flies low and slow beneath the radar horizon, below the system's optimal engagement envelope. Against this target, the Patriot is like using a precision sniper rifle to swat a fly. Expensive, awkward, and finite. You are burning through your most sophisticated, hardest to replace ammunition to knock down a machine built in a garage. That is the trap.
But what we've observed is the Houthis can launch a strike with a $1,000 drone or with a couple $1,000 missile. It could be in the air, on the sea, or it doesn't really matter. And they can put at risk a $1 billion warship, right? And we send up our F-18s or our F-35s to shoot these down in a cheaper manner so we don't have to burn $1 million missiles.
And Iran said it deliberately. Iran and Russia did not stumble into this asymmetry. They engineered it, deliberately, over years. For decades, Western military supremacy relied on what defense planners call exquisite systems. Extraordinary capability, extraordinary cost, produced in small numbers. Devastating when deployed. The F-35, the Patriot, the THAAD. Those systems were built for a world in which adversaries needed industrial nation capacity to project military force. That world is ending. What is emerging in its place has been called precise mass, a new military architecture in which precision warfare, once the exclusive province of great powers, can be assembled, adapted, and scaled by far smaller actors. A Shahed-type drone costs $35,000. A Patriot interceptor costs over $4 million. That ratio, 1 to more than 100, is not a technology gap. It is an economic sustainability gap. And beyond the drones, Iran is waging a second war, one that requires no guidance system at all. The Strait of Hormuz, 21 miles wide at its narrowest point. 1/5 of the world's oil flows through it every single day. Since February 28th, Iran's Revolutionary Guard has effectively closed the strait to commercial traffic. State oil companies across the Gulf have declared force majeure. Crude prices have surged. Shipping insurers have pulled out of the region entirely. The hotels are burning, the refineries are on fire, and the global economy is beginning to feel it. Not from missiles, but from the absence of tankers. Iran cannot defeat the United States militarily. It never claimed it could. What it can do is make the cost of this war unbearable for everyone who was not even supposed to be in it. There is also the jamming problem, which turns out to be no solution at all. GPS interference is now endemic across the Gulf. Dozens of nations are broadcasting jamming signals, attempting to disorient incoming drones. The effect on civilian navigation has been severe. Shipping lanes disrupted, commercial aviation rerouted, and the drones keep arriving. Why? Because the Shahed does not rely on GPS for most of its flight. At launch, it activates its receiver briefly, just long enough to establish its position. Then a gyroscope takes over. It measures speed, direction, and location autonomously, relative to its departure point. This is inertial navigation. It requires no external signal. It cannot be jammed. The most advanced variants go further still. They connect simultaneously to American GPS, Russian GLONASS, and Chinese Beidou, 3 independent satellite systems on different frequencies. To jam all 3 at once requires 3 coordinated jamming systems operating in real time. For most defending forces, that is not currently possible, according to CSIS analysis. In the first week of Tehran's retaliation campaign, drones accounted for 71% of recorded strikes in Gulf states. The drones, slower, cruder, cheaper than any missile, caused more destruction than the ballistic weapons. The more primitive weapon was the more effective one. The F-35 program has cost the United States an estimated $400 billion. It is a magnificent machine. It is also increasingly an answer to a question that no one is asking anymore. The defender must be perfect. The attacker just needs to get lucky.
Based on CENTCOM figures and open source, Iranian daily missile barrages and drone launches have indeed dropped dramatically since the start of the war, but they're not at zero. And they seem to have maintained some level of low but stable numbers. Perhaps they've dropped a little bit more in recent days.
Ukraine did not choose to become the world's most important classroom for drone warfare. It had no choice. Since October 2022, when Russia began deploying Shahed drones, rebanded the Garan 2, manufactured under Russian license, and swarm against Ukrainian power infrastructure, Ukraine has faced this problem with fewer resources, less institutional support, and greater urgency than any other nation on Earth, and it has found answers. The solution is elegant in its simplicity. Use a drone to kill a drone. Ukraine's Sting Interceptor costs around $25,000, less than the drone it is designed to destroy. It takes off like a quadcopter, then pivots 90 degrees to fly at speeds exceeding 200 miles per hour. Using a combination of pilot guidance and AI targeting, it detects Shaheds more reliably than traditional radar and slams into them. Ukrainian military figures suggest that in January 2026 alone, more than 1,700 Garan drones were destroyed, roughly half of all those launched by Russia that month. Around 70% were taken down by drone interceptors. An 80% overall intercept rate achieved at a fraction of the cost of any missile system. The economics of the Shahed had been inverted. The Iranian design was now the more expensive, harder to replace option. But Ukraine's most valuable export from this war may not be hardware. It may be data. Millions of annotated combat images, collected across tens of thousands of real flights, now train Allied AI systems for pattern recognition, target detection, autonomous guidance. No simulation produces this. Only war does. The Gulf states have noticed. Both the UAE and Qatar are reported to have approached Ukraine about purchasing thousands of interceptors. Even the United States, which has restricted weapons transfers to Kiev, is understood to have reached out for help. President Zelensky has signaled openness. Ukraine shares what it knows. In return, it needs what it lacks. Donald Trump said, with great confidence, that Ukraine had none of the cards, that Russia held them all. It turns out that Ukraine has quite a few. What Iran has demonstrated in the Gulf is not merely a military tactic, and like all proofs of concept, its implications reach far beyond the original demonstration. 3 consequences, each more difficult to contain than the last. First consequence, proliferation. The Shahed requires no rare earth materials, no advanced manufacturing, No specialized workforce. Its guidance system uses commercially available navigation technology. Its engine was copied from a hobbyist model. Its airframe can be assembled in a garage. We have already seen what happens when this model migrates beyond state actors. Hezbollah was using drone variants against Israel naval vessels as far back as 2006. The Houthis were striking Saudi oil infrastructure years before this conflict. The trajectory is not difficult to trace. Terrorist organizations, drug cartels, criminal networks. The drone does not discriminate between its operators. It only requires a target and a set of coordinates. The limiting factor for now is organizational, not technical. Organizational barriers erode. Second consequence, the industrial reckoning no one ordered. Western defense procurement is, by design, slow. Contracts span decades. Production lines are optimized for quality, not volume. The F-35 program, $400 billion, one aircraft type, is the logical endpoint of a doctrine that prioritized capability over mass. That doctrine is not wrong, but it is no longer sufficient on its own. The side that wins tomorrow's war may not be the one with the single best platform. It may be the one that can field enough good platforms cheaply enough, quickly enough, and network them intelligently enough. The United States produced around 600 Patriot interceptors in all of 2025. Iran launched 1,000 Shaheds in the first week. The math does not require a strategist to interpret. Third consequence, the nuclear shadow. There is a final implication, and it is the most dangerous of all. The war in the Gulf was in part designed to prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons. The strikes on Iranian leadership and infrastructure were intended to degrade the regime's will and capacity to cross that threshold. The evidence suggests the opposite may be occurring. A regime that has lost its conventional deterrent, its missile forces degraded, its proxy networks disrupted, its leader killed, faces a strategic logic with only one terminus. If conventional military powers cannot protect you, you seek the weapon that can, the ultimate deterrent, the one no adversary will test. The war designed to prevent the bomb may be the war that makes it inevitable. In 1991, the Gulf War showed the world what advanced technology could accomplish in conflict: precision, speed, dominance from the air. The lesson absorbed by every military on Earth was simple: invest in the exquisite. In 2026, Iran is teaching a different lesson. Precision can now be mass-produced. The countries that prevail will not simply be those with the finest platforms. They will be those who can combine a small number of extraordinary weapons with vast numbers of cheap networked autonomous systems. Human judgment over time will give way to algorithms that decide faster, target better, and never tire. The last revolution in warfare gave us precision. This one is giving precision to everyone. The question is no longer whether the world is ready.
The escalation we're seeing isn't just a headline. It's a direct threat to the financial systems we rely on. If you found this analysis valuable, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a signal in this changing world order. To see exactly how to shield your own assets from these risks, click on the video displayed right here on the left of your screen. It's a complete masterclass on wealth management and sovereignty. I'll meet you over there.